Hello everyone, it's 3 in the morning in Rome, and I am at the North Gate in Piazza del Popolo in Rome at 3 in the morning during an activation around the entire city that we have been doing with a group of friends. Well, I already uploaded some photos, and now it's my turn to do my part alone. And this is the North Gate, which is where the famous phrase, "all roads lead to Rome," comes from. Well, they led here. This is the entrance of all the roads of Europe, of all the roads from the Roman period, entering from the north. And we are in Piazza del Popolo, where there are these two churches and an obelisk, Egyptian. There were 14 Egyptian obelisks in different squares of Rome. A very important symbol. But why am I here? And why do I start from here with this activation? All of this is very Egyptian. If you look at a map, I will upload the image later. If you look at a map, you will see that this square has the shape of an eye. And this eye has 3 streets. One there, another in the middle, and another over there, right? So, the streets form a pyramid that is the Alchemist's pyramid. The Alchemist's pyramid because it is not a pyramid like those in Egypt, but rather a long pyramid like those in Sudan. It is a pyramid that represents a divinity mathematically, and that's why it's also a symbol that has been used to show, for example, on the dollar, right, which is the pyramid with the eye. Well, this is the eye of that great pyramid, which is the path of the alchemist. It is the Alchemist's pyramid. So, this street here is going to take us to the Vatican. This street in the center is going to take us to the... Why does it look bad? I think I touched something I shouldn't have touched. This street here is going to take us to Vittorio Emanuele, the monument to the fatherland. And this one here is going to take us to Maria Maggiore, Santa Maria Maggiore, which is where Pope Francis is buried and where the Alchemist's door is. Another of the points I have to visit. So, in this square, where we can clearly see the 3 streets that open from the North Gate of Rome, it is the all-seeing eye that opens one of the ends of the Pandora's box of Rome, one of the ends of power in this territory. So, if we follow the straight line of Vittorio Emanuele towards the other side of Rome, very, very, very far to the south, we have the South Gate, to which I will go later. That South Gate has a physical pyramid. A pyramid which is that of Cestius. And that pyramid, which is on the other side, which is materializing. The South Gate of all the roads of Rome towards from the south, materializing the pyramid that is here graffitied on the street. So the North Gate and the South Gate are related to the obelisk and the pyramid that we will see later. And this line then activates information, information related to the Philosopher's Stone or the Alchemist pyramid. While the other path that we will also take, the Vatican represents a key. It has the shape of a key. And on the other side, at the other end, we have the Alchemist's gate, where Santa Maria Maggiore is located. The Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, that cross is going to show us a square that is the path. The face of one of the faces of the Pandora's box or Metatron's cube. And in its center is the sacred eye, the eye we call the Pantheon, which I will also visit later. So, if you join me on this journey through Rome to activate Metatron's cube, Pandora's box, the Big Apple, and unlock the key of heaven on earth to awaken the information of the Philosopher's Stone. Now, 10 minutes later, I find myself in front of Piazza Vittorio Emanuele, which was part of the park of a marquis who lived in this entire area, on this hill of Rome. And in this area, his entire park, his house, and so on, in the year 1800, he turned it into a land of alchemy. He was obsessed with the Philosopher's Stone and was searching for how to construct the Philosopher's Stone, perform alchemy, and turn lead into gold. In this corner, in this very place, is where he built a door called the Magic Door. That magic door is right in front of what is today the door of the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore, which is where Pope Francis is buried, his tomb. Right in this place is where the magic door was, in front of the door of Santa Maria Maggiore. And it is one of the points connected with the great eye that is in Piazza del Popolo. And crossing Rome in this straight line, we find the oculus, the eye of the Pantheon, all the gods that are in the center of Rome, and further away, the Vatican, which is the key to the door, the key to the magic door. The fact that Pope Francis has chosen to be in this church, in this basilica, and not in the Vatican, is very symbolic of someone, of a pope, bringing the key of the Vatican to open the magic door of alchemy. And remember that the entire journey we are making is the alchemy of being, the alchemy between gold and silver, the heart and the mind, philosophy. Today the magic door is no longer at this corner where there is now a church, but it is 50 meters further down. Now the park is closed, but 50 meters further down in, the door has all the alchemical symbols there in Vittorio Emanuele. All the alchemical symbols that even today are not known, what they are for, what they explain. And here remains a sample of that door, we could say, with its water fountain below. So this is another of the places where we are going to anchor the information for tomorrow during the conclave, to connect all these sacred points that open the doors of the alchemy of being. I'm going to deliver it. Yes, it seems crazy, but there is a pyramid in Rome, and probably many do not know it or were not aware of this pyramid, but it is right at the southern gate, one of the southern gates of the city of Rome. Here Cestius built his pyramid more than 2,000 years ago. So this pyramid is very ancient, and it is right on part of the Roman wall, which means part of it is inside Rome, and the other part of the pyramid is outside Rome. So it is very symbolic. This pyramid is exactly on the opposite side, the opposite position of the eye that is in Piazza del Popolo, right? So there is a straight line between this pyramid, and if you look, the structure of this pyramid is that of the Philosopher's Stone. That is to say, it also has the eye on top and a longer angle, right? That is to say, the pyramid is not like the one in Egypt, but rather more elongated, in the same way that if we draw a line in the middle, we will have the three streets of Rome that lead to Piazza del Popolo, right? To the eye. So this central street is the one that leads us to this point here, to the Pyramid of Cestius. And at this point, I am also going to deliver one of the crystals that we are planting to build the entire structure of Metatron's cube around Rome during the Conclave. And well, I just came from the stone, from the Alchemist's magic door, who was trying to construct that Philosopher's Stone. And here I am in the structure that represents that Philosopher's Stone, a pyramid in the middle of Rome. Here you can see the angle better, right? Let's imagine the three streets. In this precise, this street would be where the monument to Vittorio Emanuele is on this side. And if we continue, there's the pyramid. And above is Piazza Navona with its obelisk and its sphinxes. On the other side would be the magic door. The magic door, and on this other side is the Vatican, the key to the door. So this is the structure that tells us, like in a magical tale, that we are discovering in this adventure of seeing how Rome was designed to make a map of our subconscious, a map of our history, a map of our time, of our space, of our way of seeing the world, reality. This city was basically designed, built as a map of the subconscious. It was designed in a way that captured that Philosopher's Stone, that bridge between mind and heart. Philosophy. It designed it, it used Latin, and the way of understanding time and space to shape our reality. And all the things we find in Rome are part of that design of the subconscious, so that our pineal gland, so that our brain is under the laws of Rome. That's why from here the mind can be reprogrammed. The Pantheon of Agrippa. The Pantheon is one of the oldest and most spectacular buildings in Rome, because Pantheon means all the gods, and obviously it is the place where all the gods were honored. So in each of the corners of this basilica, well, of this temple, there were statues of the gods,
and the ceiling is very special because it is one of the best made ceilings from 2000 years ago, because it has a dome with a hole in the center for the sunlight to enter, for the rain to enter, especially for the sunlight to enter and illuminate the door, illuminate the gods as the day goes by. So it is a very sacred place architecturally as well, and well, in every sense, right? Because obviously all the gods were honored here. The entire Roman Pantheon, the Roman gods were honored here, and the incredible thing about this place is that it is precisely located in the middle, between Piazza del Popolo, between the Pyramid of Cestius, between the Porta Magica and the Vatican Key. So this point represents the eye of all the deities. This is where the six main gods of the six main gods of the Roman Pantheon sit, and therefore it is where all the information of Rome is. Here's the eye, right? The all-seeing eye, the eye of Rome, the eye of all the divinity that this city represents, and therefore the third eye of the system. Inside here, in this space, is the yes, all the power of the subconscious that was designed in this city. So this is another important point to maintain and activate, because when we turn the key in the Vatican with the conclave, this is the point we need to open. Here I am in St. Peter's Square, Vatican. Once again, after having gone all around the different points I was narrating, Piazza del Popolo, Porta Magica in Santa Maria Maggiore, Pyramid of Cestius, the Pantheon in the center of Rome, and now here at the key that opens the magic door. So let's remember that there is a connection from the Vatican to Piazza del Popolo, to the eye of this triangle. A connection from the Vatican, from the Pyramid of Cestius, and crossing directly through the oculus, the eye of the Roman construction of the Pantheon. On the other side is the magic door. So I wanted to explain a bit why I am here, why this place is so important for the entire planetary consciousness, and why I come to this center of power so often. First and foremost, to understand the situation. Vatican means prophecy. Prophecy means giving a message about the future, something that is going to happen, like a prophecy. This hill was where the visionaries, the Oracle of Lazio, which was the region, Latin before Rome existed. On this hill were those who prophesied the things that were to come in the future. So, the kings, yes, the kings of this region used to come to this hill to ask for advice on what was going to happen in the future. And one of the pieces of advice given on this hill was that some foreigners would arrive soon, and that when they were here, the king had to offer them his daughter to marry, because if they had children, they would create the greatest empire in the world. Obviously, what happened? That the Trojans arrived. And when the Trojans arrived, escaping from the Trojan War, that's when King Lacio offered his daughter to those who came from Troy and founded what is now Rome. And well, the whole story we know, the Roman Empire afterwards. So the message came from here. But over time, this hill became like the place of the martyrs. That is to say, it was not within the city of all Rome. Rome, the capital, was on the other side of the river, among the seven hills that are on the other side of the Tiber River. And on this side, then it was like the outskirts of the city. Therefore, people were buried here. All the people who died were buried here, but especially people who were not important. That is, all the martyrs or all the people who were discarded, were disposed of, let's say, from ancient Rome. So this hill became the hill of Vaticinio, became a completely eerie place of death, right? And for this very reason, it is the place where Simon Peter, the apostle of Jesus, will also end up being crucified and buried here, right? Because this was the public cemetery. This is where all the people, the bodies of all those who were not worthy of being in Rome were thrown. And therefore Simon Peter, the apostle, was here. It is thus that the Christians, when they began to grow more and started to move, a lot of energy and power, they began to build their chapels here in honor of Simon Peter. And that's how the space of St. Peter's Basilica and St. Peter's Square came to be. So we cannot deny that this place is very important for the change of consciousness. That everything that happens here also modifies what happens inside here, right? So a pope, what is a pope? The pope is called a pontiff. Why? What does pontiff mean? Pontifex Maximus, the greatest pontiff, is the largest bridge. That is to say, when Jesus chooses Peter, according to Christian tradition, when Jesus chooses Peter as the one who guards the gates of heaven on earth and gives him the keys to heaven, symbolically, not physically, but gives them symbolically, and says to him, Peter, or rather Simon, you will be my rock upon which I will build my church. And that is how he comes to be called Peter. Peter means rock. When he gives him that mandate, the Peter becomes the bridge between heaven and earth. Do you remember we are talking about the rainbow bridge, right? The bridge between the worlds of other dimensions and the earth. In the subconscious of all humanity, the supreme pontiff, that is the highest bridge, is the Pope. It has been embedded in our psyche for 2,000 years, right? 2,000 years of repeating that the only one who is the rainbow bridge between heaven and earth is the heir of Peter, right? Therefore, the Pope. That is to say, when there is no Pope sitting on the throne for the planetary subconscious, there is no one sitting in the pineal gland, which connects the bridge between consciousness and the heart, the earth and the sky. So, that bridge, that supreme pontiff, when a pope dies, all the churches, cathedrals of the world, all the temples that are beneath each of the churches, also when they were colonized, all of that becomes empty for a moment, right? The days when there is no Pope, it feels empty. And these are days of reprogramming where an entire system can be reconsidered because we don't know which Pope will be chosen, whether it will be someone progressive, like Francis was, or if it will be someone regressive, like Ratzinger was, like Benedict XVI was. We don't know. There is a change. Now we might think, and how does this affect me if I am neither Catholic nor Christian? I am neither Catholic nor Christian. How does it affect me, right? How does it affect me? In that it is part of the collective history. In the same way that we repeat patterns God in life, in the same way that we, when, for example, we celebrate Christmas or eat together around a table, all those things are programs from thousands of years ago. Programs to celebrate the solstices. Gathering to eat around the fire, we call home. I mean, we have a lot of programming related to mom, dad, food, the house. There are a lot of programs that we don't even think about and we believe they don't affect us. But nevertheless, culturally, they are not only in the culture, but in ourselves. They are living inside us. Because for thousands and thousands of years, we have repeated certain things that became biology. They are no longer even culture, they are biology. They are inside us. Let's think that the way we eat, which is our biology, was organized into culture over a long time. And that culture generated ceremonies that became religion, right? So, and that religion turned into politics, into law, into morality, and ended up creating our way of living, our way of thinking, our reality. Therefore, many times we don't realize it because we believe we are separate, right? In the same way that we believe the weather doesn't affect us, or that we believe the Earth's magnetic field has nothing to do with me. But nevertheless, it is what keeps me here. Gravity. What is gravity? It keeps me here. This type of construction and the historical power these places have imply great changes in consciousness. They imply large structures and patterns that we have built over time, and that live within us. So, what happens in a conclave? Conclave means with key, right? Under lock. That is to say, the cardinals are like those who indicate, you know how they say the cardinal points, right? North, south, east, and west are the cardinal points. They are the ones that order the direction. Well, the cardinals are the ones who order the direction of the church or of Christian thought. So, what do the cardinals do? They lock themselves in and vote several times to determine who will be the next pope. While they vote, the chair of the church is called sede vacante, which means empty chair. And at that moment, when there is an empty chair, is when the panel of the system is open. Then things can be reprogrammed. Therefore, during a conclave, all the cardinals from around the world gather in the Sistine Chapel, which is there, right? The famous Sistine Chapel, where God is touching the finger of Adam. They gather there to vote for the next pope. So it's a very important situation because as I said, this place still today controls our minds, even if we are not Christians, right? And for this very reason, it is so powerful because it is part of the great empire of time, right? It's, yes, the empire of time. And in all the stories I've been telling, time is broken. We need to organize time, build the rainbow bridge. And how is the rainbow bridge built? by using all the powers of the earth, rearranging those powers and reconstructing them in our subconscious. That is to say, to build this rainbow bridge between heart and mind, philosophy, I need the supreme pontiff, that is the rainbow bridge. I have to heal the rainbow bridge, and for that I need to open the door to this alchemy, which is the transformation from the dense to the subtle, right? I have to open that door between heaven and earth. The Vatican, as you see here, the structure, all of this was built by Bernini, an architect who is an amazing genius. But all of this was built by Bernini. If we look at it from above, it's a key. This part of Bernini's columns is like the place where you hold the key, and the cathedral, the Basilica of St. Peter is the part that goes into the door, right? And turns. So all of this is the key to open that pontifical bridge, right? That bridge between the heart and the mind. That's why when they are locked, it means that it is a moment where this bridge can be reprogrammed. The structure of this bridge can be reprogrammed. It's not something that is done in a single day, but it is a moment to plant the intention of that reprogramming. For a long time, obviously, this place was not important for the Roman Empire until Christianity was made official in Constantinople, right? Remember Byzantium, which is today Istanbul. So in Turkey, Constantine, the emperor of the entire Roman Empire, accepts Christianity, converts to Christianity, and then the empire becomes Christian, and therefore all Christians stop being persecuted by the Roman Empire, and it becomes the official religion. That's when it starts to gain a lot of power, and therefore the hill of Vaticinium becomes the Vatican, the place where Christians, all the Christian martyrs who were killed and thrown here in mass graves, now become saints, right? So this hill becomes the most important one in Rome. Now, when in fact it wasn't part of the 7 hills of Rome, it was outside. Now, this place starts therefore to shape from the year 300, 200, no, yes, from around the year 200 of our era, this place begins to shape the way of thinking of the Roman, and therefore the way of thinking of the Roman Empire. And therefore it mixes the Roman traditions of the entire Roman Pantheon, of the Roman gods, with Christian traditions, so that all Romans throughout the Roman Empire would accept Christianity as something of their own and cultural. Thus, this place begins to set the trend for the thought of the Roman Empire, right? And not only that, it also starts to set the times, the calendar. Let's remember that the calends was a way to collect taxes of the Roman Empire, in which it was said when the moon is full, a calendar is fulfilled. That is a moon. When a lunation is completed, 28 days, that's when the taxes need to be paid. So everyone knew by looking at the moon that it was time to pay taxes to the Roman Empire. That calendar was restructured by the Vatican, by the popes, who followed on the throne of St. Peter. And because of this, Roman time and space began to be modified by the Vatican. What does this mean? That the entire population of the Roman Empire, which stretched from the Middle East to Portugal, and in the north from Phrygia, in Holland, almost Scotland, and
to the south through Africa, along the Nile, and so on. The entire empire, the entire Mediterranean, the entire Middle East began to consider time and space according to the Vatican. What happens that everything that was Roman law, Roman culture, Roman language, Latin, all of it officially becomes the way of communication for the Vatican and the means to impose the psychological, cultural vision over the entire population of an empire. Therefore, that empire, which will later fragment into many countries, many languages, many ways of thinking, right? Like France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, England. It begins to fragment towards the east as well, with Turkey, Greece, the Balkans. And suddenly, the churches begin to structure themselves in different ways, creating their own empires through colonialism, expansion towards the Asian, African continent, America, the discovery of America. Therefore, all the design that was made here inside is the design that we still manage today. The design of time, the economic design, the design of law. All the structures, even linguistics, the way we communicate, the traditions we still follow. All of this, all our subconscious, are thinking on planet Earth, regardless of whether one is from China, India, or Native American, have been colonized at some point by the globalization of the Roman Empire. That's why we all use almost the same calendar. That's why we use Latin languages to refer to each other. International laws based on Europe. That is to say, beyond each country, maintaining much older traditions, globally, we are all subconsciously governed by this place. For this reason, the intention of the programming is what we have been doing with the group of 12, which we have been anchoring at the obelisk, which is also an Egyptian obelisk, obviously. That we have been anchoring there in the center during the opening of the ceremony. And then throughout the night, some of us stayed until 2 in the morning. And then I alone until 4, well, until now, which is 5:30 in the morning, wandering around different places in Rome, which I already mentioned, because they represent the entry of the box that opens the sky on earth, which is this city, Rome, which is the system that is supporting us all, that keeps us all connected in our subconscious. And in order to heal towards a new system of consciousness, we inevitably have to observe what the current system of consciousness is. And that system of consciousness that we have today, which we are programmed with, is the Vatican, Rome. That's why we are here. So there is much more to talk about, much more that we will be sharing more and more, and I will answer your questions. We will delve deeper into the topic, but I wanted everyone today to have that awareness, that intention to understand why we are here during the conclave, why I left everything I had to do to come here, because it is a unique historical moment of reprogramming planetary consciousness. So now, before it is 6:30 in the morning, I am going to line up to enter St. Peter's Basilica and continue with the activation from within, the heart of the key between heaven and earth,